No, so can you hear me? Your video is off.
Namaste,
Yes.
everybody. Namaste,
Namaste. And
namaste.
today we also this is Hindu Lounge number 46, and it is a special. It is a special and it's a very somber occasion. It is the 50th year of the genocide that took place in Bangladesh. So let me, for all those who are joining us, let me introduce our show to them and also introduce our couple of special guests. So this is Hindu Lounge. Hindu Lounge is brought to you by Hindu Pact, which is a policy research and advocacy initiative of World Hindu Council of America, or VHPA. Utsav Chakrabarti is the executive director of Hindu Pact. And with Utsav, I'm Ajay Shah. I'm the president of World Hindu Council of America, VHPA. And today we have two very special guests. And so we have Priya Saha, and Priya ji is is from Bangladesh, and she is associated with CMB, which is a human rights group for Bangladeshi Hindus. And we also have someone who will go anonymous for this show for multiple reasons. His name is, for now, Bengali Voice. So welcome to both Priya ji and to Bengali Voice. And Utsara, for today, my name is Ajay Shah.
Namaste, Ajay Da. I'm going to call you, instead of Ajay Bhai, I'm going to call you Ajay Da today. And
how can it be Ajay? It could be, it has to be Ojoy, right?
It has to, yeah, it is Ajoy Da for today. And so we have two amazing guests who have known myself personally for the last 10 to 15 years. And we have Priya Saha. Priya Saha is, I should say, a pioneer in many ways in the Bangladeshi community, and has seen, we will go into it in detail with Priya Di today, but I will start off by saying that she has been there and done that. That is literally how she has experienced the past 50 years of Bangladesh's history. And we have Bengali Voice, who is also a very close friend of mine. We are not going to reveal his name, and he is not from Bangladesh. He obviously, before partition, when everything was India, we all have families who came from Bangladesh in many of our families. But he is from India and a leader in the Bengali community and a selfless activist. I have known him personally since his university days, and I have never seen anybody as sincere and as soulful in the passion with which he works for the communities. And he is probably one of the biggest activists when it comes to saving lives in the Yazidi community. Not many people know about this part of him, but he is also an expert on issues on Bengal and Bangladesh. So we have a very wonderful group of people here. And since this is the 50th anniversary of the 1971 genocide in Bangladesh, it is very fitting that Ajay Bhai and Hindu Pact are picking up this show for today. And thank you, Ajay Bhai, for bringing this topic up. This is very apt for today.
Thank you. So let me formally introduce both our guests today. So Priya Sahaji is the Executive Director of Human Rights Congress for Bangladesh Minorities. That is the HRCBM that I referred to a little while ago. She has been the publisher of Dalit Katha, publisher of Bangladesh Journal of Minority. She is also the convener of South Asian Minorities Collective. And Bengali Voice is a social activist. You already introduced him, but he grew up in Bengal and has been research scholar in the field of robotics, and currently works as a postdoctoral fellow. And it's so like, besides your formal introduction that you did, you have visited Bangladesh and you have spent quite a bit of time in Bengal, although we have said that you grew up in Madhya Pradesh, but you have taken you've been to West Bengal, you've been to East Bengal, so you're quite familiar with the situation in Bengal, correct?
That's correct. I have been to Bangladesh, and actually my first meeting with Priya Saha was when I was in Bangladesh. So yeah, I have been to Bangladesh, and yeah, I have also had some experience with dealing with that part of the world.
So, so welcome everyone. Why don't we start by you introducing the overall what happened in 1971 in Bangladesh for people who are joining us. A lot of people who are joining us may not have even been born in 1971. So, give us the background of what happened in 1971. Why is that year, you know, important in history?
Well, 1971 was probably a cataclysmic culmination of 100 years of tragedy that Bengal has been going through the 100 years before that. And I would say it as a cataclysmic culmination because, as most people in India as well as Hindu Americans may not be fully aware of, nearly 3 million Bengalis were killed, most of whom were Hindus. And this is something that I think even young American Hindus are not fully aware of. And just look at the scale of the tragedy here. And yet in 1971 it was conducted by the Pakistani army, the genocide, but not anybody has from the Pakistani army has been prosecuted or even faced any judgment on that. So from my perspective, if I am to introduce 1971, it is the scale of the tragedy that the Hindu Bangladeshi Bengali community faced. It is the ignorance of the global community in terms of the magnitude of the tragedy, and it is the impunity with which Pakistan has gotten away, and Pakistan's radical Islamist collaborators in Bangladesh have somewhat gotten away without paying the price for the crimes, the heinous crimes they committed against humanity. And I think today, both Priyadi and Bengali Voice will be able to shed more light on the scale and the ignorance that follows this tragedy.
So, Priyaji, let me invite you to share your thoughts. You were in Bangladesh in 1971, correct?
Yeah, I was in Bangladesh, then the East Pakistan. Uh, I was at then 6 years old, so I can remember many more things. And after coming back and lifelong, my parents share all their journey and every time. So that's make my memory stronger. My relative, my villagers, everyone continuously they share their story, and so that is many things is visible for me because the in the childhood memory is very strong. You cannot erase anyway. If you think yourself, every moment you go back your childhood. So I can remember very strongly what happened during that time.
So give us some memories there, or share with us some memories that you have. What did you remember? What did your parents tell you? Uh, tell us a few things.
Okay. In 1971, our village is a very small village in the southern part of our village. In our country, it's a Borishal division, the southern part of Bangladesh. Our main communication not by the road, it's by the canal and river. Basically, we used to, in that time, we used to go one place to another place using boat and sometimes the manual and sometimes the engine boat and launch, steamer. So what happened during this liberation, I can remember every night when we woke up and look surrounding our village are burning, and all area was mostly Hindu area in Borishal, the Pirozpur, at present Pirozpur district and Nazirpur Upazila. And during this liberation war, the population was more than 60% or Hindu community. But in this area, there is many madrasa, and the Sursina madrasa and the oldest madrasa in Bangladesh. And through this madrasa and Razakar, the collaborator of Pakistani army, they basically started burning the village after village. And every evening, if I remember that time, we saw the whole sky was just, the we saw the how the village after village the burning, and people are crying and crying and crying. The women are crying, the children are crying. So every day we was that, and in the morning time I can remember on the river of Baleshwar, the Pak army, they used to come with the gunboat, and our village, only say 500, the half a mile, within the half a mile our village. So they mercilessly, they just open fire to the villagers from the gunboat. And how Muslim saved them. Muslim used to, in the river side, they stand up with the cap, the Islamic cap. And so the army can understand this is the Muslim village. So army didn't fire, the gunboat didn't fire the Muslim village. They open fire to the Hindu village and Hindu area, and they killed. And we just, when we hear the noise of gunboat, as a children, my mother and all, we just lie down on the floor so that the fire can't hit us. After within a month, maybe in April, my elder brother, he just went, and my four uncle, they went to India to join the freedom fighter freedom fighter team to get training. And he was at that time a student of class in the 10th grade. And from that day, our family, every day we were cried. We have a crying session in every evening. My mother and we were talking whether my brother is alive or he killed, whether he reached to India, he is getting training or not. And every day we were crying in memory of my brother. Then after leaving my brother and four uncle to India, all the surrounding areas, the Islamists, they become very angry on our family, and they inform the Pak army, the people are leaving to India, and this area is very, the Hindu are getting ready to protest. So on night, the Muslim group, 45 to 50% came to our house and called my father. Our forefather was landlord, so my father was a community leader. And they came to only our home and called my father. My father name was Nagendranath Biswas. And they called Nagin Kaka, came out, we want to talk with you. And my mother understand, they may kill my father. And my mother came out. She was so brave, I can't explain you. And she came out with a, with a knife, but very strong. The Kali used, we saw the big, the knife, or we call in Bengali da. Okay, if you want to talk with him, first come and talk with me. Then they are afraid. Then they are afraid, and you know what you want to talk. Then the Barek Mullah, he called. It was at, we were sleeping, and when they come, we woke up, and Barek Mullah told, and all other that they are shouting, you have to leave this village today night. Otherwise, tomorrow what will happen, we don't know. You can understand, at 10 p.m. they came to our house and ordered us to leave the village. And there was, I told you that no car, nothing. We used to use the boat. Then they went, and my father called the villagers. There was 40 family, and asked them, we need to leave today within short time, otherwise they will kill us. They honor me, that's why they told, I honor you, we honor you, you are our leader, so you have the opportunity to leave this village. Before that, I can remember, before 2 days, those people are used to work in our house. We were eating, and my mother is the last person. She was start her eating, and our worker, our labor, come to our house and they take all the utensil. We use the brush, glass, and plate, all the valuable things, and they take in all these brush product and utensil, all the things, and my mother cannot finish her eating because they just throw the plate food and taken the plate, because plate is valuable. It has resale value. So my father called them and get prepared within 1 hour or 2 hours, and they bring some boat and just with some cloth, you can understand, some ornament and some cloth. We just start all villagers together journey to India. And yeah, and we didn't take anything, not a single villagers. And it takes, when I cannot remember which was the first station. We just through whole night we journey towards. It takes 14 days time to get reached to the Indian border. And on the way, I can remember on Kalidaho River in the some place in Magura, we just cross the river and all we get bath in the river, and all clothes we for people just keep their clothes for drying to sunlight, and we bring some mud, we call dhil, and we have only some on pot, one or two pot, and we bring people bring the banana leaf, and in this pot some rice and some pulse, and bring all this. They start cooking. How can I explain, with the leaf, they collect some leaf, some straw, some other thing to make is cooked. The food are for cooking. And maybe on the 14 days, we ate only one time a day, only rice and pulse, sometimes some grass, some vegetable, and some rice, and with water. And we have some salt too. Yeah, the food was salt, rice, and some leaf, or some, pulse. Mostly leaf and rice, that was, and water and salt. That was our food. And on the way, we saw the either it was a rainy season in our country. It's the soil is easily it's make the mud, and up to knee it's down. It's very hard. We do not have any rock. We do not have any. Our land is different type. So on the road we walk on the side. It was very tough to walk, and on the way, most of the people, their relative, or are the old parents and grandparents, they cannot walk, and the children, they cannot walk. In my family member, we were my younger brother age was 10 months. I was around 6 years, and my second brother, he was around 10 years, and my mother and my father and my grandmother and all relatives So you can understand what we can take in our hand. I fall down many times in the road because I cannot walk so long. And my father want to hold my hand. And my mother, she always kept my brother, the 10-month-old brother, in her lap. And in this way, and my second brother, he was capable to walk because he was 10 years old. And we saw many mothers, many fathers, many old people. They cannot take their parents. They keep them in the road and give some food, sometimes some bread or some rice. The older people, they are waiting and crying. We want to go to India. We want to live, but their son or their family member, they cannot take these old people because how they will take them? They need to they need to go themselves and their young kids. So many I have seen. I can remember the one woman. She was just trying to scrolling to she want to go India to save her life. But many where I have seen, they were just died in the roadside. They just fallen. And many young boys, mostly those are when we were on the journey, young boy were killed. Mostly they do not allow to go young boy to India because the army know this young boy will join the freedom fighting team. They just came and take away the young boy and shoot. And in the roadside, many, the dead body, where it was so, how can I explain? The dead body was, uh, is a bitter smell. Dead body you can show when it's rotten, then what happened? So in this way, we are starting to go. I can remember the last day, the cantonment of Zinaida, Khaliganj. We need to cross this cantonment area. There was a road. And before that day, we were in a village home. They left this house. We didn't eat whole day. We couldn't manage any food because this is the last day. We will go. We are very close to Indian border. We will go there and we will have food. So we were just waiting when the night will come. Our journey was started after 12 p.m. Say 12:30, people, this is the time to leave Bangladesh, to cross the army camp because army was sleeping. So this was the thing, they will sleep and we'll cross the border. And this area was so bad road, and it was raining in the night, and I fall down. I can remember 6 or 7 times. Just I'm walking 2 or 3 steps or some step, and I'm falling down, and my whole body was with mud, and my father was trying to clean me with the hand, and he started walking again, and in the in the morning time, we just reached to the Indian border. Then we we get bath in the river, and then we went to the Bonga. How we went, I cannot remember. And from this Bonga, there was a rail station, and truck is coming on after on. Truck is coming, and people they're just like a product, rice or pulse, any other thing. They're taking the people and they're putting them in the truck, and one truck going to Mana camp, another truck going to another camp, one truck going to Labonrod. So people's family are splitting. Sometimes one family member went many more places. Then we leave from that place. My mother, my auntie, my Mashima, She was in Beleghata, Bonga. We went their house. How we went there, I don't know. And we were 3 months with their family. Then they cannot afford us. My family then went to Murshidabad. On high school ground, there was a camp. And you can see these many pictures. Right this moment, the refugee camp is not like the refugee camp was in 1971. It was quite different. In our house, sometimes during the rain, it goes underwater. We bring some, banana tree body, banana tree log, and on top of this, we try to sit and sleep. After some day, the water go down, so we can start living again. During this 9 months, we stayed in 9 months in India. I couldn't remember how many times we ate fish. We didn't, in our family, we didn't eat the meat. So basically, we live with some vegetable, some pulse and rice. That was our life. And when he come back, it was terrible. My brother came, he was a naval commando. He got training in Navy section and he came to India, Bangladesh for fighting. And when elder brother is not there, not with us, and my mom, every day we cried, maybe we'll see my brother again or we'll not see never. That was our everyday life. And when our country independence, we came to Bangladesh maybe in February, in the first February or in the January. It's very, after independence, we didn't stay many times in India, just we came. And when we came, we were very happy. We are going to our village. We will get, I was so happy that I'm going to see my home again. I'll see all these things when I left our country, I just dreaming, okay, I'm going. We all are very happy. We're going our village. We will see, memory. We do not have other memory. Just we have a home. We have many more things there. And when we came back, we didn't get back anything. Just we got only land. And so there was some small tree, and everything was destroyed. So we started our life again. And as my father was, we have the position, socially the good position. So father cannot go to being the relief. So our life was so terrible. We have to wait until we get again our crop, the rice or any crop to be to eat regularly. I cannot explain you how a family or people, they can live without food long time. I can remember one day, my father and brother went for fishing in the river. With whole day, we didn't eat. We cannot buy any rice. So my mother fried this fish. Yes, they do not have oil that much. It's only salt and fish, and we ate only fish. Yeah, we passed this life. Although still now we have 300-acre land. We have a huge land. All the Islamists, I can remember the madrasa area. the madrasa name is the Gemadanga Lilla boarding. The Lilla boarding, they are all students. They came with a free shack and they went to looting to all the Hindu villages. It is not the Pakistani army did or yes, Pakistani army. I can remember my father was talking. He told in the in our area, the Shatia, Laura, Malikali, that is the area, this educated people are live. And they came with gunboat and they taken many Hindu girls and they never come back.
Priyaji, that is so touching. I cannot imagine what you have gone through. It has to be, it has to leave a mark on you and everyone who has gone through something like this for the rest of your lives. And when we were doing some research on this, we came across several of these pictures, and maybe Bengali Voice or Utsoda, you guys can comment on this. So first, I want to just share some of the, pictures about the refugees, or people who are fleeing the genocide. And these are the pictures that Priyaji was describing so eloquently about how the refugees had to leave. So this is one image of thousands of refugees who are trying to leave East Pakistan at the time. Here is the other picture that Priyaji was saying that they had to walk for days and days and weeks. This is a representative picture of that. This is a picture of refugee camps. This is only 50 years ago. I mean, it's in a lot of people's lifetime. It's not that long ago that a genocide with 2.8 million people was committed. 55 to 60% of them were Hindus. And there were 500,000 rapes that took place. And here is another picture of a refugee camp and people in the refugee camps. So you can see here what people went through. Also, that we put together is my voice coming okay? Because I got some comment that the voice is not coming okay.
No, we can hear you clearly. We can hear you.
Okay, so let me so that we put together as part of our Hindu Pact initiative, we put together a website, and I want to just share this, share this website on Bangladesh, remembering the genocide in Bangladesh. So let me share this, website with you, and maybe you and Bengali Voice can can comment on it. Because this is again, this is not that long ago. I am and people hardly ever talk about it. People hardly ever remember it. Although so please, so that walk us through this, or maybe Bengali Voice, one of you can walk us through this while I put up this website. This is the Bangladesh Genocide 1971 website. It's on Hindu Pact, and it's on hindupact.org/Bangladesh. And you can see some of the pictures, gruesome pictures of people who have been rounded up by the military. People are fleeing. People who are looking at all the bones that were collected at some point. All the people, the death and destruction that took place, and the bodies just thrown away. And PIG was so eloquently describing the way the women were abused over there by Pakistani armies and their collaborators. And so there was also a link to the article. There are a lot of quotes, and some of them are from journalists, some of them are from diplomats, some of them are from actually one of the Pakistani generals who said at that time he was not a general, he was a lower-ranking official who said how he was ordered to actually single out and kill Hindus. So, and then there are excellent posters that Utsava you put together. So while we have these pictures and quotes on the screen, Utsava, why don't you or Bengali Voice, one of you, kind of go through, go through some of the details. And we heard, nothing tops the personal narration that was given by Priyaji Maybe you can fill in some details, as to what was discovered later, how many people died, things like that.
Well,
Yeah, Ajay, thanks for bringing me in. It is a deep honor. And Priyadi gave a very moving personal narrative of what she and the entire community had to go through, the entire Hindu community in Bangladesh. Now, if we try to dissect what really happened, then we realize that the December 1970, when Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, he and his Army League party had a possibility to form the government, he was refused. He had the majority, but he was refused by Pakistan to form the government. And then Pakistan realized that maybe a lot of Hindus are supporting Army League, and thereafter they decided that they will get rid of all the Hindus in Bangladesh, and the rest they'll be sent back to India. So and they got real support. They got support from uh, lot of Islamist organizations, both Bengalis and non-Bengalis, and these Islamist organizations were supporting in their Genocide Act. So this really began on 26th of March 1971 with Operation Searchlight. And in Operation Searchlight, the idea was how to systematically get rid of the Hindus, first the intellectuals, and therefore they went after the Jagannath Hall in Dhaka University, where a lot of students were rounded up and killed. Then a lot of intellectuals were rounded up and killed, and then they went after Ramana Kali temple, and they bulldozed it and destroyed the Kali temple. Thereafter began a very
Sorry to interrupt. That was one of the biggest biggest Hindu mandirs in Bangladesh
exactly,
at the time, correct? Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, so it was you go after the spiritual soul of the community, and you try to destroy the spiritual soul of the community first, and then the entire community collapses. That was the basic idea. So once they did that, then they went after in the countryside. It happened in Borishal, it happened in Kumilla, it happened in Sylhet, and it happened in many other places. The goal was to systematically kill the Hindus in thousands and hundreds and thousands. This was one of the methodologies they had adopted, was to put a H sign on the Hindu homes, and then they could unleash the local militia, the civilian militia which they had formed, and they have formed the Al Badr and the Al Hasma, and basically a lot of Islamist organizations. They had active support of the Jamaat Islami to kill the Hindus. And then if we try to see that what was the reaction of the international community, and the international community was, if we just listen to what Senator Edward Kennedy, who was a very senior senator in US, and he had mentioned that on the 1st of November 1971, he's saying that the hardest hit has been the members of the Hindu community, who has been robbed of the lands and shops, systematically slaughtered, and in some places painted with yellow patches marked H. All of this has been officially sanctioned, ordered, and implemented under the martial law from Islamabad. More than 60% of the Bengali refugees who fled to India were Hindus. It has been alleged that this widespread violence against Hindus was motivated by a policy to purge East Pakistan of what was seen as a Hindu and Indian influence. So this was by Kennedy, and then there was a Pulitzer Prize winner journalist named Sidney Schoenberg, and it's mentioned uh, by him that the Pakistani slaughtered um, the Hindus in the southern district of Barishal in one day, according to another priest, meeting was called in northeastern Sylhet. Later, troops arrived and from the gathered crowd, selected 300 Hindus and shot them dead. So this is about the men. Now, the Jamaat-e-Islami declared, along with the Pakistan army, that this whole all the Hindu women are public property. And therefore, what started was, for example, they would go to a village or city, and then they would open the artillery on the hospitals, and all the whole city is in total chaos. They would separate out the women and give it to the Pakistan army for raping them, and in thousands. And so 200,000 to 300,000 is a number that is usually put forward by the international uh, international media of the women, Hindu women who were raped. But there is a very interesting uh, comment by one of the doctors who went to from Australia to treat for abortion of the Hindu women who were raped, and he mentions that this 200 to 300,000 number is it is just a misnomer. It is not correct. There is an underestimation of what really took place. His name was Dr. Jeffrey Davis, and he said that 200,000 to 400,000 rape victims are underestimation. On the actions of the Pakistani army, said they kept the infantry back and put artillery ahead, and they would shell the hospitals and schools, and that caused absolute chaos in the town. And then the infantry would go in and begin to separate the women. Apart from little children, all those who were all the women were taken in, and women would be put in compound under guard and made available to the troops. So that was the kind of barbarism that we are witnessing here. So this kind of age reminds us of what the Jews had to go through. And it's said that General Tikka Khan. So this was taking place under General Niazi. General Tikka Khan was another very senior Pakistani army official who is called the Butcher of Bengal. And they are all citing one after another Pakistani documents saying that the aim is to rid Bangladesh of the Hindus. They are the problem makers. We want to purify the land. Kind of, that kind of statement is coming out.
And,
Now
because
we
this is
also have to
the
realize that
sorry.
what impact it was having in West Bengal, because that is where it is just not a genocide that impacted the Hindus of Bangladesh, but the Hindus of West Bengal received some around 10 million Hindus coming as refugees with nothing. So what happened really, and I've heard it many times from my parents, that once these refugees came, they had to be given jobs, and the factories in West Bengal had to provide them jobs. But there are many people in a demand-supply situation of economics. We know that when there are many job seekers and there are few jobs, that lot of jobs are not very high paying then anymore, because there are many, supply is more. And then once you have these jobs at very low paying, you can't even feed the family of many. So the trade unionism became rampant. And once trade unionism became rampant, the they were targeting the officials of the company. They were targeting, they're closing down the company, and then the companies themselves had to be shut down, and they had to be relocated elsewhere. So businesses started moving out. Then, because there were many hungry stomachs to feed, communism became rose, and people were targeting anyone who had land. And so it was an imaginary situation of class divide that took over. And so Hindus went after against Hindus, So it was the loss, the biggest loss was for the Hindus of West Bengal. The
So
Hindus of
let me
Bangladesh.
interrupt you just for a second, because before I move on to the situation that exists today, I just wanted to get Utsuda's take on what has been said so far, and then we'll progressively kind of move towards what happened, and you kind of just already got us started on that. But before we go to today's situation, right, and how we ended up where we are today, and we're going to get there in just a few minutes. I want to find out. So, what happened to the perpetrators of the 1971 genocide? I mean, there's this Pakistani army involved, and we have already made references to General Tika Khan and General Tika Khan and General Niazi. So we've already talked about it. What happened to them, and what happened to the other soldiers? In 1971, 100,000 Pakistani soldiers actually surrendered to the Indian Army. Were there any repercussions on them? Were there any repercussion to the jihadi collaborators, who were called Razakars? Did they face any consequences?
So there were consequences for some of the Islamists who we call as Razakars, who were collaborating with the Pakistani army and were committing the genocides. Albeit it is not been fully done, and it has been done quite late. I mean, Priya Didi can talk about it. It's only recently then that a few of them have faced justice, and the process is ongoing. But what is very bothersome and what is really worrying, and the global community needs to really put its act together on this, including India, is the fact that almost 90,000 Pakistani military forces that were who surrendered to the Indian army, were all let go, because the crimes they committed was in those days, as India put it, was not against Indians. And therefore, they really got scot-free for the genocide of 3 million people. I mean, Pakistan's prime minister in those days had actually gone on record saying, kill 3 million of them and the rest of them will eat from our hands. So they haven't denied the numbers. I mean, they haven't denied the genocide. It's just that the global community hasn't followed up. And what can be done now, and what needs to be done now, is to revisit it. Because as we know, Armenians got the recognition of their genocide 100 years after the genocide was committed at the US Congress. It took them 100 years to get it recognized. And what happened in Germany during the Holocaust obviously got recognized right away. But sometimes it takes generations to bring these people to justice. And there are enough examples in the last 20, 25 years of people being brought to justice for the crimes they have committed against humanity, even 20, 30, 50, 100 years after they have committed those crimes. Obviously, if it's 100 years, then somebody else has to pay for it. But it's not too late. It's been 50 years. The people who committed these crimes on behalf of Pakistan are senior military leadership, senior civilian leadership, with very powerful positions within Pakistan and very powerful bank accounts outside Pakistan, as we know how Pakistan operates. So it is not too late. And I would let Priya Didi talk about what should be done and what can be done and how it can be done. I would let Bengali voice talk about what should be done and what can be done.
So one question to add to that, right? And while you're answering that, also tell us what happened to the jihadi collaborators. Are they, did they face any consequences? I occasionally see news items of some of the Jamaat-e-Islami leaders being prosecuted in Bangladesh. But what about, I mean, there were 500,000 women were raped. They're not done by like 4 people. There's this crime was committed by tens of thousands of people. What are the consequences they're facing?
The consequences, see, that's a very good question to ask, because the scale and the magnitude of the massacre was not committed by just few people. You are absolutely right. The consequences has been faced by a few people, and there has been tribunals, and the credit goes to the the Bangladeshi community, especially the secular Bangladeshi Muslims and the Hindus of Bangladesh, who have worked very hard over the last 30 years to get some of these people to justice. There have been tribunals, there have been death sentences that have been carried out, but largely the bigger number of people, including many Bangladeshi Islamists who live in America, they live in Brooklyn, who have escaped the consequences of their brutal crimes. And so I think we need to really revisit this. And only a few people being brought to justice is not enough. And we need to really look at this.
Bengali voice, you want to add something, Priya Didi?
Yes, surely there's some of the things like I'd like to add here, that um, one of the things is that the people who committed these crimes, and who are the people, and they are very clearly, there's a professor, his name is R.J. Rumel. He's a professor of political science at University of Hawaii, and he says that the genocide and genocidal atrocities were also perpetrated by lower ranking officers and ordinary soldiers. These willing executioners were fueled by an abiding anti-Hindu racism, especially against the Hindu minority. And Bengalis were compared with monkeys and chickens, and General Niazi says that the Bengalis are to Jews as to the Nazis, and the scum and vermin that the best be exterminated. So all this together, what really leads to is eventually it was 195 officers who under whom the blame came, but it was just not the officers. It was also the it was not just the high-ranking officials. It was low-ranking officers as well who were responsible for this crime, along with these Jamaat-e-Islami segments, Al-Badr and Al-Hasma and groups who were also doing the Rajakas that you call. So what has happened is this entire Pakistani army went back to Pakistan. The 195 officers were supposed to be tried, and Bangladesh accepted Pakistan's proposal of trying them, because 400,000 Bangladeshis were also in Pakistan who had to come back. So while these 195 officers, 1973, there was some resolution, but after Mujib's death, nothing happened really on these 195 officers, and some of them died. But there are many low-ranking officers, because they're saying that if General Tikka Khan or General Niazi, they themselves are rapists, then what about the officers? The officers also followed them. So these officers, who are today senior officials in the Pakistan army, they need to be tried. They need to be brought to justice. As far as nothing has happened so far. As far as the local Rajakars, the collaborators, some of them have been tried by the Bangladesh government, because they were also involved in cases related to Mujib's murder, and some of them have been put to death sentence. But there are very few that have been done. I mean, the scale was massive. In fact, the Guinness Book says that this was the fifth largest mass genocide in the 21st in the history of Asia. And so all this is very important, that we provide justice to those who suffered, and the only way we can do that is to essentially put to trial the large sections of the Pakistan army officers today who were essentially responsible for this genocide, the rape and the atrocities. So this, so this is where things stand today.
So, Priyaji, do you want to add anything to this?
Yes, I want to add. I just told my personal story because this is the genocide month. Yeah, we need first the trial of the Pakistani army who start killing, and they killed the innocent people. It was not the war time. It was nothing. These people, uh, they didn't die during to war. Not that. They just start killing on 25th March, and they start killing on the Hindu community. The Jagannath Hall, the Shakhari Bazar, most of the area, and the Shakhari Bazar on the single day, on the 25th and 26th, they killed 100,000, and most of them were Hindu because they wanted to stop, but because the Hindu are the educated. Still now, Hindu education rate is 10% higher than the other community. And then in 1971, it was mostly Hindu were they are the school going and they are the educated community. So educated community know they fight against the communal force, so that they start killing the Hindu community, the educated community, the intellectual community. So we need to, what we need to do, we need to bring to the in the light, we need the recognition from United Congress and UN and EU from all over the world. When we will get a recognition, and not only that, we need to go each and every state to get recognition, and every city, corporation, municipality in the USA. So first we need to get recognition the genocide, and to bring the culprit, who without any, without any crime and without any war, they kill the innocent people. So they have to bring under the trial, and they killed. And the communal force still exists not only in Bangladesh, they are working still now, they are working across the world. They want to destroy the civilization. So these criminals are not, nobody will give them shelter, because everywhere they will do the same crime, and this crime cannot be continued. As a human being, we need to stop this crime. We need to stop. We need to make them weaker. We need to bring under trial. If we have to survive, the world need to survive and grow. And with this criminal, with this culprit, with this killer, it cannot happen. So,
in fact, it has gone the other way, right? What is the so let me ask you this, because you study these things. How many Hindus are left in Bangladesh today?
yeah.
So it is about 10% of the population right now. And
what was it in 1971? Less than 1969 or 1970?
It was in 74. We were almost 19%, 8.7%, 18.7% before the liberation war. I can give you a calculation. That calculation is the 2.7 million Hindu were killed during this liberation war. I have a calculation. In 1971, the population was 9.4 on million, and it should be in 1947 the population should be 13.24 million, but in 1974 it was only 9.65 million. There was shortfall, the 3.58 million, and Indian government and the document that is record only 1.11 million people are refused to India. So that the gap between the census, the 61 census and 74 census, and refugee recorded in India, if you calculate this, easily you can find 2.7 million people are missing. The Hindu people are missing. So census is the proof. You need not go through any other thing. Only if you go to the 60 Bangladesh government census record, you will find the people are no more where they are. Where they are.
It's a really good question.
The biggest question in the world, it's very easy to probe how many people they killed. There should be two ways. Either in Bangladesh census record, either Bangladesh government had to tell these people went to they go to India, otherwise we killed them. People are not evaporated.
Yeah, that is true.
Correct. And the thing is that even if you assume that there is a 1%, 2%, 5% margin of error in these censuses, the numbers are so mind-boggling. I mean, you cannot evaporate, as Didi aptly put it. You can say there is an error of 2.7 million can be 2.5 million, but you cannot remove 2 million people from the face of this planet without knowing where they are. So even if the worst of critiques of this narrative, even the Pakistanis cannot deny the fact that millions of people, especially Hindus, really were killed in 1971. And I think that is the part that American Hindus need to really focus on. And that is the part that American Hindus need to educate everybody else on. I mean, I have to say that our community has to take some of the blame. And when I say our community, it's the Hindu American community, because we are all in America and we are well to do. It's not like we haven't had the opportunity to speak about this. We have had opportunities over the last 50 years to speak about it. We haven't. So there is some responsibility that Hindu Americans have to take. There is some responsibility that our youth have to take. The youth has, we are very vocal about, the vice president of America is of Indian origin. How many times has she spoken about this tragedy that comes from her part of the world? I mean, she calls herself South Asian so many times. So if you are going to call about yourself as South Asian, let me ask our younger generations in America, like, how many of you have spoken about the genocide of 2 million plus Hindus in Bangladesh just one generation ago? Let's be South Asians and talk about it.
Okay, I want to give that some, the Chuknagar, the on place, in the on day, they killed in the May, the Chuknagar killing day was May 10th, 1971. In the on place, they killed more than 15,000 Hindu. They called them, we will give, when Hindu were ready to go to India, and the collaborator, they called the Pakistani army and they came and surrounded these people because they came from Bagirhat, Khulna, Borishal, Firozpur, Potuakhali, Bhola. They want to go to India through Bonga border, through the Benapol border. Petrapol in India, in Bangladesh is Benapol. This is the border to go to India. So they were in one place, and in one single day, whole day, they surrounded the area and killed. And the same way, the Shakhari Bazar on the 26th March, they killed 1,100 Hindu. And on the other area in the Karaniganj, in the same month, they killed around 16,000 Hindu and on a spot. So there is many more mass graveyard, mass killing spot, the massacre. So my appeal is to all Hindu American community. I have all this information. I have all this commitment, and I'm ready to go anywhere. You can request me, you can call me. I can be a witness how the genocide going on, and you need to pass the bill in every city corporation, every state, in every corner, every university. There should be a library for the Hindu genocide in Bangladesh. And I want to talk one word. When 100 crore Hindu living in India. How dare Bangladeshi and Pakistani Islamists? They tortured and killed every day. And Indian Hindu and the world Hindu, the American Hindu, they are not talking a single word about this. How? Are they human beings? Do they think they have some responsibility for the world? We are human beings. This is not a crime being a Hindu. You are talking for Palestinian people. You are talking for any on single things happen in India or in Kashmiri people. You are talking in all other people for European people. You are crying for Rohingya. Yes, I am crying too for Rohingya. What happening? But they are 25,000. They are demanding. Also, they have made it terrorist outfit among this Rohingya community. But the Hindu community of Bangladesh, we do not have crime report. We do not have a single terrorist. We do not have any bad record. We are the educated. We are the custodian of Bengali Hindu culture and history. So my appeal to all Hindu American community, please save us. Please work for humanity. Please work for preserve our heritage. We are the son of the soil. Where we go, still now almost 20 million people are there. Please help them to stay in their own country.
It's a really
Your
good.
voice, you are so strong. Your American Hindu community is the largest educated, talent, cultural, and wealthy community. And they are well accepted in America. If they talk, if they try, you, the community, can save us. Please,
So,
please don't.
Priyaji, let me come to that in just a second. Let me bring in the Bengali voice, and you started Bengali voice. You started talking about, and I want to remind our viewers that for multiple reasons, the person using the name Bengali voice has decided to be anonymous for personal safety and other reasons. I want to ask you this question. You started the conversation a little while ago about how the situation in Bengal has progressed. So why don't we pick it up from where you left off, where after 1971, what happened, and how did the Bangladesh Hindu community end up where it is today, and basically over the past 50 years, the number of Hindus in Bangladesh has progressively gone down. In fact, not only that, we know that Priyaji had to get asylum second time in her lifetime, and now this time in US. So how did we? So Bengali voice, tell us what happened to the Hindus in Bangladesh after 1971. And then, Priyaji, after that, please chime in after the Bengali voice gives his opinion. Go ahead, Bengali voice.
Right. So to look into what really happened to the Hindus of Bangladesh, first of all, a lot of people. So when 3 million people are being killed, and 500,000 women have been raped, then the impact is enormous, because against every even against 3 million killed will be 10 million or more. So there is a number which says in the US Senate, it was discussed and said that 50 million people have been displaced from Bangladesh. 50 million Hindus have been missing from Bangladesh. So the missing means, where did they go? Did they disappear? No. Either they were converted, but converting such a large scale people is a problem. So they must have, most of them must have taken shelter in Bharat, right? So we have a population of 50 million, many European countries put together, that population comes. That population took shelter in Bharat. Now, after 1970, this process started in 1971 in a big way. It process started in 1947, but then it's subsided a little bit. 1971 was another major event. So in all these events after events where genocide against Hindus are taking place, Hindus are not able to fight back because we are not we are disciplined people. We don't believe in killing others randomly, right? So we, because of that, we are at the suffering end. But there is also no justice being done. Um, no trials for these Pakistani soldiers, officials, army officers, junior officers. That yesterday, today, they are senior officers in the Pakistan army. No trial against them. No trial against these Jamaat-e-Islami and all these Islamist groups. So that is emboldening them to commit another set of genocide again and again and again, and it's continuing even today. I mean, no government in Bangladesh can stop that. So that process is, so the numbers that we are seeing falling from 22%, 17%, 18% to all the way to now 7-8%, that number, the 37 million people missing, which Priyadi had talked about, that number is because this genocide is continuing. And now what's happening to West Bengal? The same labor problem that you had before, the same problem of land and issues that you had before. Now, why do you need CAA today? You need CAA because for 70 years, these people came to West Bengal. Where are they living? Next to the railway lines, in shanties. They cannot, if they are always in the fear of being deported to Bangladesh. If they're deported to Bangladesh, they will be killed again. You are a Hindu. And they cannot provide education to the children because they don't have the papers. They cannot get the government jobs because they don't have the papers. They cannot own land. So you are living in a perpetual, you're entrapped, but at the same time, big credit must be given to them. They have not given up their faith. They're still Hindus. They still call themselves Hindus. So we have not acknowledged somewhere the fact that they have not given up their faith. That is something we need to bow down before them and respect them for it. That everything has been destroyed. The economy has been destroyed for, as I said, the ways it was destroyed. The political system was destroyed. The communism has come in a big way because you have to accommodate some aspirations of the people on how they will figure out a living, and communism never provides that solution. It's just a oasis or some kind of a illusion. But in one thing that we have to still respect is the people who have not given up their faith, and have not submitted to the Islamists, the will of the Islamists, and their will have proven stronger. So the CA is a big tribute to those people, but we have to do more to ensure that justice is done somewhere. Like as Utshabda was telling, that people came together to provide justice to these Islamist, to put to trial to the Islamist groups. The Islamist leaders, some of them have been sentenced for life, some executed. We have to do more of those things, and we have to constantly drum up against Pakistan, against these groups like Kair. We have to keep on telling them that, look, why are you not talking about prosecuting the Pakistani officers? You have to do that.
Yeah, I completely agree. So, Priyaji, tell us, your story. Why did you end up as a refugee second time, and this time in US? How did you tell us your story about how you ended up in United States, and why are you not back in Bangladesh? What happened?
I came to join the second ministerial to Advanced Religious Freedom Program organized by the State Department of USA.
When was that?
It was 16 July 2019.
Oh, just a couple, not even 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what happened?
I was in a round table. I was a speaker. I came here only for 2 days and 3 nights. I didn't bring my, I bring only one luggage with 3 shari and 2 blouse petticoat like this, Just I came and I have to go back on 19th, the July 19th at, my flight was 8:30 p.m. And I was just, and in this ministerial, I was invited as a speaker, and I was supposed to talk on July 17, and I present my paper on 17 July, and I got the opportunity to talk with the president, because the participants were from 135 countries, among them the victim. Only 27 people got opportunity to talk with president, and we met him, and among them 27, 13 people were talk, and I was one of them. And before coming here, the Islamist group, with the support of political party, they have taken our 300-acre land, and on the March 2019, they burned my parents' home, but no culprit arrested yet. So I talk about this thing, the 37 million, the minority community missing from Bangladesh, and I have lost everything. They have taken my land and they have burned my home. And this, I talk only 43 seconds with president. And this 43-second video went viral. I
You
talk.
mean President Trump? Is that who you were sitting with? Okay.
Yeah, I was sitting with President Trump. And this video went viral in Bangladesh. I do not know the talking time. It was on live. It was a live program. So other people also talk. 13 people talk about their situation. I talk only 43 seconds. And this 43 seconds went viral, and Bangladesh was started shaken. And more than a month, all television talk show and everything was surrounding Priyasha, because I talked with president at US government when came to know the Bangladesh, they are getting billion dollar from USA and from across the world for Rohingya refugee. But when other people will know the Rohingya refugee is not only one fact, Bangladesh also making many people refugee every year is many times than Rohingya. Rohingya is almost a million, but Bangladeshi Hindus and many million have to be refused to India. So, and all the government machinery and the communal force, they talk seriously against me, and they surrounded my home. They wanted to rape, kill my family member. My younger brother went to India, and my nephew went to India, and my all relatives went on secret place. And country was just, they tried to give all blame to Bangladesh minority community, and minority community was a serious threat. Then I went to State Department with J. Kansara, and he with the hand from Hindu American Foundation, and I talked with Sam Brownback, the senator, and he was very kind, and he talked with the State Department, and the State Department, they intervened. The USA government intervened to the Bangladesh government to bring the situation come down. And when the Undersecretary, the Assistant Secretary General Ellis Wells called Bangladesh government to be shut down or to be quiet, then they stop. Our Prime Minister called other people. Okay, we'll see later. Let's her come to the country. And from the police, from the political party, and they bring my issue up to the parliament. They discuss in the parliament.
And this is only 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, not 2 years.
Not even 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago.
And I do not want to mention the name because so people they put 10 sedition case against me. In every area, they were preparing to file a suit, a defamation suit against me. I tarnished the country image. Um, yeah, so that I
No,
cannot.
that's really, I mean, so I think they're making, it's so sad that you have gone through this once in 1971, and you're, going through the persecution again in 2019 and 2020. Utsada, let me bring you in to close this out, and thank you, Priyaji, for that. I really appreciate it. So that what is it that tell us a little bit more about in a couple of minutes about the HRCBM, and what is what is it? What are you guys? What I mean by you guys is what are we doing in HRCBM and other Hindu organizations are doing for the 50th to remember this genocide and really take this issue to American people and to Hindu youth in America. So go ahead.
So Human Rights Congress for Bangladesh Minorities, HRCBM, is an organization which Priya D is leading now as its executive director. Mr. Dhiman Dev Chaudhary, who is the president of the organization, has started it in 2001 when Hindus faced a real aggression and attacks in 2001, again, because of the political climate in Bangladesh and Islamists attacking Hindus in large numbers. This is a United Nations recognized consultative group. It's a 501c3. So I will just list out 3 or 4 points that we should be looking at as American Hindus. Number 1, support HRCBM, which is a 501c3. Donate to them. You can go to their website, hrcbm.org, and donate to them. They are actually coming up with a new website because this is a website that was designed in 2002, and it's been revived now on this 50th anniversary of 1971 to reach out to the community. So HRCBM.
I just want to add that HRCBM was our Hindu Seva Act or Charity of the Week, and they are again our chosen Hindu Seva Charity or Seva Act of the Week. So I just wanted to kind of mention that. So we are doing a special segment along the way. So please go to hrcbm.org. Utsada, is that the website?
Correct. And it looks a little dated because it's still the old website. They are working on the new website, but the mailing address, the donation, and all the details are correct. So you can also follow HRCBM on Twitter. It's twitter.com/HRCBM, and you can get information there. You can follow HRCBM on Facebook. Just look up HRCBM and you will be able to join the group. And in addition, that is point number 1. Point number 2 is that organizations like HRCBM, organizations like Hindu Pact, and any other organizations that are interested, Hindu American Foundation, they're all working together in many ways to come up with outreach effort that not only reaches the American community at the city and grassroots level, but also the Hindu American community, which itself needs education on this. So on this 50th year of this genocide, there is a project that works on outreach on this effort. Priya Didi is working on it very hard. I have been putting in a little bit of effort on it as well. Bengali Voice has always been, he has been doing this every year, so this is not new for him. So this is something that we have to really go out with. Number 3, we need to demand at the policy level that American lawmakers, both at the Congress as well as the executive level, apply Magnitsky Act on the Pakistani military leadership and thus make it relevant that they pay for their crimes in 1971. If you need to look up Magnitsky Act, find out what it means. It is a good way to bring them to justice, at least from the American perspective. Number 3, I would want everybody else who's listening to us to bring this up at your community level. If you have connections in the local city, you have connections in the state legislature, bring in a commemoration, something official, get a day of genocide declared. This entire year is important. If your city council can bring a resolution on declaring Pakistan a perpetrator of genocide in 1971, do it. I know American Hindus and Indian Americans have a lot of influence. Do it at your own level. Don't worry about, if you don't know somebody at the national level, don't worry about it. Bring it at your level. And that's with, I think those are the 3-4 points I would like to bring up.
So, I want to bring up the Hindu phobe of the week as a regular segment, and it's very pertinent here today. And maybe I'll play this 30-second clip and then have you comment on that. So please, be prepared to Bengali voice. If you want to add any comments to this, please feel free to. This is the Hindu phobe of the week. The minorities targeted in Bangladesh. This is a result of a Facebook post. Take a look at this.
So
Temporary camps of police were set up in the village for the safety of affected people. Earlier this week, thousands of hardline Islamist organization supporters had attacked a Hindu village. A mob attacked with makeshift weapons and vandalized 70 to 80 houses. They looted and ransacked many houses. The incident came after a Hindu man criticized the group's joint secretary general on social media. Hifazat-e-Islam leaders staged a protest against the Facebook post to bring the situation under control. Police arrested the youth the same night.
So the comments on this incident that happened in Bangladesh. Bangladesh doesn't seem to be a very safe place for Hindus. What's going on?
right. So my thought on this would be that this genocide, which took in 47, 71, and is continuing till today because these organizations, Islamist organizations, Jamaat-e-Islami, and others, they are very strong. They are able to commit these atrocities, and there is no justice. There is no justice because we as a Hindu community are not able to build up enough international pressure so that we ensure that justice is done. When we are put on the back foot with CAA, and CAA is something that is not taking away citizenship of anybody. It is giving rights to these millions and millions of people living in miserable conditions, Hindus in India who have been thrown out from Bangladesh and living in miserable conditions with no dignity, with no rights of their rights worth mentioning, and in miserable financial condition. These people are being given rights by CAA, and we should celebrate it. We should not be in the back foot. We should not be worried about what Kaya and all these groups are saying. They are working as front ends for the Islamists. So we should take up strong positions and say that these Pakistani army officers need to be booked, need to be brought to justice, and then these Islamists need to be brought to justice. And we should work together. We should join hands with all different groups, and we should ensure that justice is prevailed. Otherwise, this genocide will never stop. This and the Indian nation will suffer. Bharat will suffer because there will be the refugees will keep coming. There is still 10% of the population, 16 million people, still Hindus, still in Bangladesh. On the official level, on the unofficial level, it's even more. They try to put down the numbers because so that our strength is not revealed. So there are a lot of people who, if this refugee crisis continues, if there's no justice done, then there's no end to it, and Bharat's economy will suffer because we have to provide jobs to these people. We have to empower the Hindus in Bangladesh themselves, and to do that, the only option is to ensure that we come together and put international pressure to bring to justice Pakistan, the officers, army officers, and the Islamists in Bangladesh.
Thank you. Thank you, Bengali voice. Utsada, I want to, unless you have any final comments, I want to close this out with a couple of quick things. Do you have any final comments before I go to two more quick items that we have on the list for today?
No, I think both Priyadi and Bengali voice have they have brought in so much information, so many details. I think I would close in with that, and I would just appeal to everybody to think about it.
Right. So there are a couple of final comments. One is that Hindu Pact, as an initiative of VHPA, issued a statement this week on the attacks on Asian Americans, and it's on our website. If you go to hindupact.org and you click on media and press releases, this is the first item that you will see, and you click on it and you'll see our entire statement. We did a whole show last week, and we didn't even know at that time the magnitude of this attack that was going to happen in this week. But we kind of talked about it. We said that there's a growing number of violent attacks on Asian Americans, and we need to we analyze the underlying causes for that. And we could have hardly foreseen the tragic events that unfolded in Atlanta over the week. And I think this, this really gives everyone an impetus to go back and look at our Hindu Lounge episode number 45, and to really understand why these attacks are happening and why Hindu Americans are included in the other Asian Americans, whether they're Chinese or Filipinos or Japanese, Koreans. All of us are being attacked in a physical, violent way, and we need to understand the underlying causes why these attacks are taking place. These kinds of attacks have no place in America, and we really hope that people come together and, in strongest terms, denounce such attacks. And the law enforcement, the law enforcement authorities have to really, think about how they are going to protect the Asian American minorities. And it's not just upon them; it's also the politicians who have been othering the Asian Americans for multiple reasons, whether it's racial reasons, economic envy, whatever it is. I mean, we really need to rise above that and educate everyone that, look, I mean, there is a net positive impact of Asian Americans, Indian Americans included, Hindu Americans included, people who follow dharmic traditions included, who are making this net positive impact on the American society. And finally, Utsada, we have this new segment that I want to end with and take only, we cannot always have this, things that we, that are always, in some ways sad. We also want to make sure that we also convey that, look, there is good news, and we want to convey this good news as well. And the good news, Utsada, is the Hindu good news of the day. I think there's a lot of attempt going on in India to convert the people in India from various parts of India to other religions, primarily Christianity. And then there's also this simultaneous attempt going on to call them non-Hindu. They're not Hindus anyway. So it turns out that in Jharkhand state of India, a lot of the Hindus over there were converted mostly because of force, fraud, inducement, things like, and false promises. And a lot of these Hindus, 181 families, readopted Hindu Dharma. And these are the kinds of news items, and Varmasi Kalyan Ashram and other organizations were involved in that. And in this particular case, it was not Varmasi Kalyan Ashram, it was Dharma Jagran and Tribal Suraksha Manch that was involved in that. And we want to thank this organization, Dharma Jagran and Suraksha and Tribal Suraksha Manch, for really educating the people and explaining to them how the tribal community has been an integral part of Hindu Dharma. After all, Sri Ram spent 14 years in various in Vanvas, in various forests in India, and developed, 7,000 years ago, developed these really close, family relationships. He was revered among all the tribals, as much as he was in the cities and towns in India. So for that, I just want to share this good news that there are good things happening, and it's, and we want to we want to celebrate the good things as and when they happen. With that, Utsada, I want to bring the Hindu Lounge episode number 46 to a close. I want to remind everyone we come live every Sunday at 11 o'clock Eastern. The Hindu Pact is brought to you, Hindu Lounge rather, it comes live every Sunday at 11 o'clock Eastern. Hindu Lounge is brought to you by Hindu Pact. Hindu Pact is the policy research and advocacy initiative of World Hindu Council of America, VHPA, with co-hosts Ajay Shah, I'm Ajay Shah, and my co-host Utsav Chakrabarti, who is the executive director of Hindu Pact. With that, I want to thank our special guest, Priya Sahaji, and the Bengali Voice for joining us today and making this event very personal, very special. And we really hope and pray that the voice of Bengalis from East Bengal is heard, not just in India, not just in US, but around the world, and the perpetrator of crimes against humanity are brought to justice. With that, Utsada, thank you very much, and namaste.
Namaste.
And Utsada, please keep the live stream on as I play the outgoing music for the day.
Namaste. Thank you, everybody.
Namaste. Namaste.